This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know, www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Welcome to the Morning Mindset, where we read Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, a few pages at a time, and get into a discussion about what we've read. Today we'll be reading 114 to 119. Let's get started. At the bottom of page 114. Some fertile fields in which new leadership will be required. Before leaving this chapter, your attention is called to a few of the fertile fields in which there has been a decline of leadership, and in which the new type of leader may find an abundance of opportunity. First, in the field of politics, there is a most insistent demand for new leaders, a demand which indicates nothing less than an emergency. The majority of politicians have seemingly become high-grade, legalized racketeers. They have increased taxes and debauched the machinery of industry and business until the people can no longer stand the burden. Second, the banking system is undergoing a reform. The leaders in this field have almost entirely lost the confidence of the public. Already, the bankers have sensed the need of reform, and they have begun it. Third, industry calls for new leaders. The old type of leaders thought and moved in terms of dividends instead of thinking and moving in terms of human capital and human equations. The future leader in industry, to endure, must regard himself as a quasi-public official whose duty it is to manage his trust in such a way that it will work hardship on no individual or group of individuals. Exploitation of working men is a thing of the past. Let the man who aspires to leadership in the field of business, industry, and labor remember this. Fourth, the religious leader of the future will be forced to give more attention to the temporal needs of his followers in the solution of their economic and personal problems of the present, and less attention to the dead past and the yet unborn future. Fifth, in the professions of law, medicine, and education, a new brand of leadership, and to some extent, new leaders, will become a necessity. This is especially true in the field of education. The leader in that field must, in the future, find ways and means of teaching people how to apply the knowledge they receive in school. He must deal more with practice and less than theory. Sixth, new leaders will be required in the field of journalism. Newspapers of the future, to be conducted successfully, must be divorced from special privilege and relieved from the subsidy of advertising. They must cease to be organs of propaganda for the interests which patronize their advertising columns. The type of newspaper which publishes scandal and lewd pictures will eventually go the way of all forces which debauch the human mind. These are but a few of the fields in which opportunities for new leaders and a new brand of leadership are now available. The world is undergoing a rapid change. This means that the media through which the changes in human habits are promoted must be adapted to the changes. The media here described are the ones which, more than any others, determine the trend of civilization. When and how to apply for a position. The information described here is the net result of many years of experience during which thousands of men and women were helped to market their services effectively. It can therefore be relied upon as sound and practical. Media through which services may be marketed. Experience has proved that the following media offer the most direct and effective methods of bringing the buyer and seller of personal services together. 1. Employment bureaus. Care must be taken to select only reputable bureaus, the management of which can show adequate records of achievement of satisfactory results. There are comparatively few such bureaus. 2. Advertising in newspapers, trade journals, magazines, and radio. Classified advertising may usually be relied upon to produce satisfactory results in the case of those who apply for clerical or ordinary salaried positions. Display advertising is more desirable in the case of those who seek executive connections. The copy to appear in the section of the paper which is most apt to come to the attention of the class of employer being sought. The copy should be prepared by an expert who understands how to inject sufficient selling qualities to produce replies. 3. Personal letters of application, directed to particular firms or individuals most apt to need such services as are being offered. Letters should be neatly typed, always, and signed by hand. With the letter should be sent a complete brief or outline of the applicant's qualifications. Both the letter of application and the brief of experience or qualifications should be prepared by an expert. See instructions as to information to be supplied. 4. Application through personal acquaintances. When possible, the applicant should endeavor to approach prospective employers through some mutual acquaintance. This method of approach is particularly advantageous in the case of those who seek executive connections and do not wish to appear to be peddling themselves. 5. Application in person. In some instances, it may be more effective if the applicant offers personally his services to prospective employers, in which event a complete written statement of qualifications for the position should be presented, for the reason that prospective employers often wish to discuss with associates one's record. Information to be supplied in a written brief. This brief should be prepared as carefully as a lawyer would prepare the brief of a case to be tried in court. Unless the applicant is experienced in the preparation of such briefs, an expert should be consulted and his services enlisted for this purpose. Successful merchants employ men and women who understand the art and the psychology of advertising to present the merits of their merchandise. One who has personal services for sale should do the same. The following information should appear in the brief. 1. Education. State briefly but definitely what schooling you have had and in what subjects you specialized in school. My apologies. 1. Education. State briefly but definitely what schooling you have had and in what subjects you specialized in school, giving the reasons for that specialization. 2. Experience. If you have had experience in connection with positions similar to the one you seek, describe it fully. State name and addresses of former employers. Be sure to bring out clearly any special experience you may have had which would equip you to fill the position you seek. 3. References. Practically every business firm desires to know all about the previous records, antecedents, etc. of prospective employees who seek positions of responsibility. Attach to your brief photostatic copies of letters from A. Former employers, B. Teachers under whom you've studied, C. Prominent people whose judgment may be relied upon. 4. Photograph of self. Attach to your brief a recent unmounted photograph of yourself. 5. Apply for a specific position. Avoid application for a position without describing exactly what particular position you seek. Never apply for just a position. That indicates you lack specialized qualifications. 6. State your qualifications for the particular position for which you apply. Give full details as to the reason you believe you are qualified for the particular position you seek. This is the application. It will determine more than anything else what consideration you receive. 7. Offer to go to work on probation. In the majority of instances, if you are determined to have the position for which you apply, it will be most effective if you offer to work for a week or a month or for a sufficient length of time to enable your prospective employer to judge your value without pay. This may appear to be a radical suggestion, but experience has proved that it seldom fails to win at least a trial. If you are sure of your qualifications, a trial is all you need. Incidentally, such an offer indicates that you have confidence in your ability to fill the position you seek. It is most convincing. If your offer is accepted and you make good, more than likely you will be paid for your probation period. Make clear the fact that your offer is based upon A. Your confidence in your ability to fill the position. B. Your confidence in your prospective employer's decision to employ you after trial. C. Your determination to have the position you seek. 8. Knowledge of your prospective employer's business. Before applying for a position, do sufficient research in connection with the business to familiarize yourself thoroughly with that business and indicate in your brief the knowledge you have acquired in this field. This will be impressive, as it will indicate that you have imagination and a real interest in the position you seek. Remember that it is not the lawyer who knows the most law, but the one who best prepares his case who wins. If your case is properly prepared and presented, your victory will have been more than half won at the outset. Do not be afraid of making your brief too long. Employers are just as much interested in purchasing the services of well-qualified applicants as you are in securing employment. In fact, the success of most successful employers is due in the main to their ability to select well-qualified lieutenants. They want all the information available. Remember another thing. Neatness in the preparation of your brief will indicate that you are a painstaking person. I have helped to prepare briefs for clients which were so striking and out of the ordinary that they resulted in the employment of the applicant without a personal interview. When your brief has been completed, have it neatly bound by an experienced binder and lettered by an artist or printer similar to the following. Have everything centered and call it the Brief of Qualifications of Robert K. Smith, applying for the position of private secretary to the president of the blank company. I'm going to stop there and join you in the room. Hello, everybody. It looks like we have some good chatter going on, saying hello to everybody. Let's see here. We have Chef Dennis. Good to see you again. Fernanda, welcome. Jay Carlos, haven't seen you here before. Good to have you here. An egg that starts with an H. Glad you're with us. Deborah, hey, good to see you here. Holistic Life. Yeah, you just started that book. Fantastic. I'm going to call you Nella, just because I like Nella Bella. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Sounds like you need to be here, right? Sabrina, I can't help you if you have no sound. I think everybody else has sound. Helena, or Helena, good to have you with us. John, welcome. Michael, Sean, Michael, big hugs to you. I'm going to guess Forex Alerts Nick is actually named Nick. So glad you're with us. So how fun was that? We got to read about, almost sounded like, we got to read about how to prepare a resume for the next job we want, right? I have to tell you that on one hand, as a partner with recruiters, which is something I've been doing for many, many years, actually what he's written is spot on. You know, we just use technology in exchange for some of the things that, you know, the specially bound and what have you in terms of a resume and what should be in it. But I tell you what, you know, as a business owner who prepares proposals and presentations, I need to be mindful of everything that he's put on here. Everything. Because that is what my potential customer is looking for. One interesting thing that I will point out, and it's something that we discussed yesterday, the two Erics and I, is that it was mentioned in the preparation of the brief about employment bureaus and advertising. So easily transferable. 1937, Cindy. 1937. So employment bureaus and advertising, so easily transferable to the internet. There are many, many places to go online to place your resume, to be available for contract work. And now I'm answering Cindy's question. I believe it's 1937. And what's fascinating to me is that his description of the banking system, our politics, exactly. Things haven't changed. I could let it get to me that in less than 100 years we have failed to learn from the past. I could let that get me down. And instead, I say, you know what? I am learning from the past. By studying this book, I am making changes. I am going to be different than those who aren't doing anything different, but continuing to repeat. I am going to be different. And it looks like I've got a room full of people who are going to join me on that journey. Rita, you're saying, the newer editions actually cut out many of the stories due to the economy. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to double check the edition that I'm reading from. That is an excellent point, Rita. Thank you for pointing it out. I will check to see if I can't find a 1937 edition that has those stories and start reading from it. Yeah, Cindy, if we don't learn from the past, we're destined to the same fate. Yes, we are. And hence we sit here, don't we? So welcome, Nora and Maya and Jeremy. The seat is open for anybody who would like to jump in and discuss what we've just read. Catherine, good to see you here. Renee, welcome. And again, what we read is applicable, in my mind, to today. When and how to apply for a position. So if you're a freelancer, it's talking about marketing your personal services. If you're a solopreneur, it applies. If you're a business owner and with a different slant, because I know we have one in here who has employees, product, an actual product that is sold, it can be modified. What said, the principles are sound. The principles are sound. The details will have to be modified slightly to accommodate just simply the type of business that you're in. Oh, yes. Good morning, Catherine. So good to see you. So good to see you here. So yes, the seat is open. The other thing I liked that gave away the age of the book is to have a picture included with the brief unmounted. Because back in the day, that, those who could afford to have photographs taken, they were actually mounted on, I know that some were mounted on what we would call matting, that would, the frame within the frame. And some were mounted on metals. Aloha.
Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning. So good to see you. Yes, Nick, I know. Let me address Nick. I know. I work closely with recruiters, and I can tell you right now, if any one of you are trying to find a job, please read this section and adhere to it as closely as possible. Yes, first impressions matter. I have had resumes sent to me after talking with them, and 1 or 2 out of 100 might get a second look because of the atrocious errors. All right, Ha.
Okay. That section is just amazing. So amazing to me that which is written years ago and it's applied today. And when he's talking about in person, you're talking about the technology today. Easier to behind the computer, just type in. Take a lot of courage to stand up and walk into the office and asking for a job.
Yes.
Now, and then when he said that you need to prove yourself and to go into apply for the apprenticeship or something and to let your results speak for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Or an internship. See, in today's world, we would call that an internship.
Yeah, but to those who are looking for a job, I would like for you to remember to thinking about that when you're looking for a job. 2 questions you need to answer. One is why you and why them. Because you need to have the good reason and you speak eloquent enough to support why you are worth it, for them to hire you. And, you need to tell them why they are the candidate for you, the company that for you. Mm-hmm. Because you need to speak in that, to answer the 2 questions.
Well, the thing is, you're selling yourself. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a freelancer, you're looking for a job to be an employee, or you're a solopreneur and trying to get new clients, we are selling ourselves. Just as we're selling ourselves to each other on a platform like this, we're doing it within the confines, boundaries, rules, parameters set of the platform. So these are the confines, rules, parameters set by. If you're looking for work, regardless of what the end title is going to be, if you are looking for work, these are sound things that are being said. And it's a shame that it even has to be repeated, because after almost 100 years, all right, so 1937, we'll go to 180 years. After 80 years, people still don't know how to create a proper resume. They still don't know how to present themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They still don't know. And there's a lot of things people don't know. And I have to be careful because I sell services to help people. So on the one hand, it's a shame that people don't know. But on the other hand, part of what I offer is to help, for the part of my personal services that are offered to individuals is to assist in things like this, to keep them on track, to prepare them. Because again, I partner with one of the many things that I do that keeps my work varied and my interaction with people varied and my attention varied, which is important to me, is I work closely with recruiters. But I also work closely with very small business owners and solopreneurs and helping them to look good online, and it's not, I should say it includes proper image. We have an egg in here. If egg is still in here, if your profile image is of an egg in Blab, I just tell you, it's the same thing as walking into somebody's place of business with a bag on your head saying, I want a job. We're going to ignore you.
Mm-hmm.
So, we can't take you seriously. You can't enter into a platform or into a group of people and expect us to think of you as a peer or someone who has something to offer if you're hiding behind something. That's how it's viewed. Same thing applies in what we've read here. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and there's a place that he's talking about the neatness and the simplified thing, because as well as your desk or your mental desk need to be in order, need to be clear. And again, if you don't know and you don't understand well enough, simplified is a hard job. So when you can make things, the thing is you make things simple. I mean, in the way that for them to know that you know well enough, you can digest, you can process in the way that through your skill and through your work ethic that you do it because you do with such a pride. When I present something and at a proposal, it have to be all of me. Me, personality, my knowledge, my skill, everything on that. When I put on your desk, that I apply all of me.
Yes. And so many are frightened of that. I was frightened of that for many years. And it's because I was going for positions that really weren't appropriate for me. I made myself fit a position rather than look for a position that actually fit me. And so it's awkward. It's awkward. And then I come across many candidates I've spoken with who are similar to the way I was. Mm-hmm. And those are the ones because I'm the first stop oftentimes, and I make the contact. And if I have a gut feeling that says this is someone that is worthy of a little more attention, there've been a few I've guided to say, I'm not turning this resume in. I need you to make these changes. I need it to say this, that, and this, because I think you're highly qualified. Mm-hmm. I think you're presenting yourself incorrectly. And it's the only way that you're going to get past the recruiter is if you have these things in line, and done correctly. And if you don't do it the second time, then I'm sorry, I can't. You really aren't the right candidate. My gut was wrong. But the same thing applies, though, when I am looking for services from somebody else. I just remembered there's a local gal who wanted to start her own virtual assistance company, set herself up as a LLC, legit business, set herself up and went networking in person and started doing some online things. And I thought, hey, this is before I got my VA. So maybe I'll give her a try. She's local. I've met her. She's a really nice gal. It's great conversations and what have you. I went to her website and there's typos all over. So I said, well, I'm not going to hire you. No. But the next time I saw her in person, I said, I went to your site and I just thought you should know that there's some typographical errors and a few grammatical ones that you may want to fix if you want to attract business. A couple of years later, nothing's changed, and she's still complaining about not having clients.
No, I have done some hire in my lifetime. And, my advice is you don't lie on the resume and you don't
Oh,
imply, you don't manipulate the
no,
language and to imply in certain things.
no.
I might hire you because I see your potential. And if I believe in your potential, I will encourage you to step in the position and then to open yourself and willing to learn and to adapt. And because, whatever that you are achieve at the level you are achieving right now, just like in the computer technology, they said you are version 1.0. In order for you to advance into your next positions, you need to have upgrade your version to
Love it.
2.20. And that
Yes.
it come from education, come from the open-minded, willing to learn and willing to take the challenge, to try.
I wholeheartedly agree. And the interesting thing is that's what everything you've just said is what was written. That's what he's telling us. The principles that he's telling us is to be true to yourself and be real when you are presenting yourself for employment, whatever that employment means, as an employee, as an employer. If you want to be a business owner, you still have to sell yourself to your clients. And whatever services you're selling, whatever that means, he covered all that. You want to be true, honest, have that sense of integrity, show your imagination, be respectful of the people that you're applying to, be specific in who you are, what you're offering, make sure that it fits, do your research. Don't just willy-nilly go out there and say, I'm for sale, I'm available for employment, and whatever job comes my way is what I'm going to take. And the same thing applies to me when I'm seeking new clients and I'm going after new clients. I'm very specific about who I want to work with, because in the long run, it benefits both of us. But it's also the same principle as saying that, brand new in business and everybody is my client. Everybody is my client. So that means, so where do you advertise? Where are you going to spend your dollars to advertise? Where are you going to spend your time? Where are you going to show up? What are you going to talk about? And the splatter effect.
Yeah, in the advertising that you bring the knowledge to the community as a whole, that you exist. And then to invite you come to the door, and the company, the sales people and the productions have to, the production people have to help the company to fulfill their promise. And the sales people will bring in the revenue. And some company make me feel so sad. Some companies so value the sales department because they see that the money they bring in, the revenue they generated, but they neglecting to see the marketing plays a major role in that, and as well as productions. Because again, like I said, production will deliver your promise, and the marketing and let people know that you exist and what you are all about.
Yes. One of my favorite jobs that I had, I was a field service engineer and affectionately known as a high-tech mechanic, traveling around the country and servicing clients and their equipment and their robotic needs. And sometimes it seemed like the company favored the sales team over the service team. But in my division and in my location, the managers of both worked very closely together so that they could guide we who are on their teams to work with each other. So we would often be partnered with the salesperson to get to know them, be encouraged to go out to lunch, to go out to breakfast, to get a cup of coffee, to meet at a client's or a customer's location. I'd be asked sometimes to show up so that I could show the salesperson the type of work I had done for the customer.
Yes.
So he or she could understand what that service ticket was about. And it wasn't to question what I did, it was to learn. And it was one of the best atmospheres ever to remove divisiveness between two supposedly opposing teams, because I've been on others where sales hated service people. We cost them clients, we cost them sales. And service people hated salespeople because they would bring on, they were all about the dollar and wouldn't qualify the customer and, sell them the wrong stuff. It was just bad.
Yeah, and today, people, if you get on the blabs in the morning or in the afternoon, or even in the evening, you will see that people are talking about the transparency. Yeah, and the transparency cannot take place until you have the open book management. Because
Yes.
information must share. Just like if you and I, we work in the same company, and I said, okay, Charlene, we have some problem. I need you to give me some suggestion for the solutions. And if I don't give you all the informations, how can you step in to help me solve my problem? And, usually people just give bits and pieces. They don't give the entire thing. How can you look at the full picture in order for you to derive to some solutions?
I agree. My team, a couple of them have outright said they love me. That's why they're still part of my team. And it's because when a project comes in, everybody knows. Good morning, Damon.
Good morning.
Everybody knows what the full project is. End goal is this. Your part is this. And they understand the value that they bring. And I tell them, I make sure that they know I know the value they bring. And that's what I'm trying to do, is to say, so you have this part, but you need to know that it will have impact over here and over there and over here. And here are the people who are a part of the team. You'll probably never talk to each other, but that's not nearly as important as you understand what the end result is and your part in it. And it tends to, the team's been with me since, most of them have been with me since 2009. Which is unusual, I found out in my field. Welcome, Damon.
Good morning, Charlene.
Good morning, Damon.
You got on the first time.
I did.
I think that's awesome. Take advantage of the time now. Go, buddy.
I'm getting better at this thing.
So I want to say one more thing, and I leave, and then to leave room for somebody.
Okay.
You are right, because sometimes that you don't have the finance to give the person a raise, but the acknowledgement, it means everything, because not because I like to reach over and to pat myself on the shoulder, say great job, but it's you are my supervisor, and my effort, you acknowledge it, you recognize it, and that's it. I'm go home to say,
well,
I have done my job.
I had a graphic designer who did such an incredible job that I asked if he was willing to meet the client. It had to be virtual, and he'd never been asked that before. To meet them so that they could say thank you. They were so impressed with the work that he had done. And he was just stunned that I even thought, he said, normally I just sit in the background and I do my work. And he just loved it. He's still my graphic designer.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the point. The point was that it was sincere. I have a client saying, I really need to meet this guy. I can't believe what he was able to do for me. I said, well, let me find out. He may not want to meet you. I don't know. So I was able to facilitate the meeting, and both of them were very, very pleased,
Yeah, people take time to complain about things go wrong, but not too many people take time to kudos a job well done. So
you're right. That's a good thing to remember.
Yeah. Having said that, Miss Charlene, you have done a phenomenal job. I appreciate you. So long.
So long, huh?
Bye.
So glad to have you here. Yeah, Damon. So what do you think?
Well, I love this book.
I know you love this book.
So I think these are very interesting times that we live in, the best and worst of times. But some of the most.
Okay, we're not going to bring David Copperfield in. Let's stick with Napoleon Hill.
For sure. And when he talks about fertile fields, I feel like arguably the most fertile field is the internet these days.
Oh, yes.
And if we go back,
we got a resounding oh yes from Sabrina.
Right on, Sabrina. So if we go back to that magic ingredient that Napoleon brings up, imagination, what can't we do? Going back to all those attributes that he listed for a qualified leader, and if we apply all those things to the internet plus our imagination, this internet is like the place to be. And you think about like all this creativity that's going on right now, Blab, Periscope, and all these ways for us to connect. It's ridiculous right now. And all we got to do is apply our imagination.
It's almost too simple, isn't it?
It's so simple, it's complicated. It's overwhelming.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why I'm so glad we're talking about the book this way, because I think that's what I did to myself when I've read it. I'm so glad to see that Dave, Ultimate Upcycle, says that 25 years ago this book changed his world. Mine, it didn't until I started studying it with other people in some manner. And it's even more so now, having a bigger impact since you all have been joining me in this blab. Because has anybody figured out I can't trust my own thinking sometimes? So, I recognize it and let's take care of it, that sort of thing. But yes, thank you, Damon. Thank you. It is a fertile field out there. It is actually simpler than we think it should be. And I think that's what this book is telling us, that if we have the idea and we have the desire, we need to put our imagination to work, and we have the tools here on the internet to reach out, to connect with people, to say it out loud, to find those who are, like-minded, who think the same way we do, who can support us, who can help us. Great things. I've been watching great things happen through Blab. Collaborations. Mm-hmm. People are making money. They're growing their businesses in the short time I've been on Blab, which is less than 60 days. I've seen it positively affect my bottom line. Affect my bottom too, but my bottom line and my business, it's fantastic, and it's because not just me, but we are reaching out like you are, like Sabrina is, and others. We are reaching out and participating.
Yes.
Participating using the tool.
For sure.
Yeah. Any other thoughts that you have on what was said?
So many. I think, like you said, it's really simple what the solution is to our biggest problem, which is our life. That's the one we need to be working on. But it seems like it's not easy because we've been so trained out of our minds. I think one of the biggest betrayals of school in the schooling system is that, when you think about college, we're asked to declare a major. We have to know what we want to do for the rest of our life. And we never give really careful thought to our definite major purpose, which is what Napoleon Hill is saying. If we're clear about our definite major purpose in life, everything else kind of falls in place.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's not the case right now. So I think the hard part, while it's simple, it's not easy because we have to unlearn all those things that we learned. We have to reprogram ourselves. So we have to do some uneducating of ourselves to re-educate ourselves,
I know. I'm right with you on that. Hey, Sabrina, what do you think?
Good morning. I was having some technical difficulties this morning, as you saw.
Your turn.
Somebody's got to have them.
I moved mine into the other room. I told him to go away. But anyway, I have a couple of comments about this. First of all, what you were just saying, though, Damon, somebody that I follow, one of her statements is, if you can hold that your vision in spite of all outward reality, you will get it every time. And that outward reality, like you were just saying, that is so tough because the world is so conditioned. We're conditioned that we get out of the house and we work hard. We don't make much. We survive. We grow old and we die. And that's a really hard cycle to break. So, something like this book and other books that I read and follow and they help. But you can sit there and go through a chapter just like this, and immediately those negative thoughts start coming at you too. So you really got to focus on pushing those away.
I'm all over that, and somebody made in the comments here about bringing it into schools, and I don't know the conditioning. I'm not sure if what context Helena is putting it in, but I got to tell you, it's one reason why I love homeschool kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're free thinkers, they're independent thinkers, they're critical thinkers, they're learners. They have a love of learning. They are focused. They know what they want to do and how they're going to do it. And that doesn't mean that this is for the rest of their life, but this is what they're looking at wanting to be and what it takes to be it. And their conditioning is very, very different than somebody who's gone through the industrial level schooling system.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a debate for sure on the whole homeschooling system.
But
I have a daughter.
The idea is that my thinking is based on what Helena was saying, is bring those principles into the schools that change that conditioning. And you can see the difference between those who go to private school versus public.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. And versus
homeschooling. Absolutely.
It's just different environments, different approaches. So that's what I wanted to put out there, that you have the freedom of not going to public school, not going to an industrialized school, whether it's in America or other countries. You have that freedom to combat it, right? By living it yourself, living it at home, or teaching it yourself. And then the other thing is that, I'm getting an echo. What can we as individuals, learn from this and take with us today and days after to have a positive impact on somebody else? Because even according to Napoleon Hill and according to Charlene's thinking, is it's not always about me. I have to make the changes. And once I've made those changes, what am I going to do with them? Yes, I'm moving towards my major definite purpose, but there's other people involved and I come across other people. So is there a way to share the message, share the principles that we're learning, that we are actually, some are living already, others are just learning, so that we can have a positive impact on those that come across our path or something? Just throwing it out there. Mm-hmm. Of course, for the last 5-6 minutes of the blab, that's all you got. Shove it in there.
I do have another comment. One of the things that I found quite interesting on page 116 is where it talks about media through which services may be marketed. And the very second paragraph is about advertising.
Yes.
I just find that quite curious. Does anybody know anybody who's ever done that?
Whoever advertised themselves for a job?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. And it's those who...
I found that quite fascinating.
Well, it's the higher levels. We're talking C levels, who actually will post advertisements. And I saw this back in the day when we had, everybody had the physical newspaper. And it was an ad taken out about who they are, what they do, and the industry they're looking for. But it was a C level, that I'm a CIO, I'm a CFO. Well, I think they would say CIO. I don't know. For sure, I recall seeing CFOs, not CEOs, but senior VPs, something like that. And this is who I am and what I've done and what have you. And then in the back of the what I call executive magazines, this is what I grew up with, like Forbes and others, there's sections for individuals to place their ads.
Oh, that's true. You're right. I was thinking more of the newspaper magazine thought when I was thinking about that. But I forgot. You're right. In the back of your trade magazines and business magazines, you would have found those. There were sections back there.
And so the opportunities are still there. They're just online. And of course, there's, I'll throw it out to anybody who doesn't know, about.me. It's a perfect place to get a page up about you for free. I mean, it's free. Now you have a web page about you. And if you're looking for work, if you're looking for employment, have that in addition to, your activity elsewhere and your LinkedIn profile if you're anybody above a laborer. And I only say that because as a laborer, you're not going to have time, nor are you going to really want to interact with people because of the type of work that you do. It's the only reason I'm saying it.
And I think this, how we show up, even in this platform, is how we advertise, self-advertise, or whatever videos we create. So for the solopreneur, internet entrepreneur, how we show up on a regular basis consistently.
That's right. You are absolutely on target. And that's what I alluded to earlier, that I work with individuals as well as businesses, but I work with individuals too. What do you look like online? What are you doing? You know, what's the disparate views? Why do you have this profile picture and this profile picture, and yet they're the same type of platform? They're both professional platforms. Right. You know, it's okay to have a casual image on a casual, you know, my Facebook profile. Personal Facebook profile is a much more casual image of me than the one I have here on Blab, which is the one I have on LinkedIn. You know, but it's still me. You know, and what are you writing? And you are absolutely right. How are you showing up? I think one of the things on Blab is the tendency to be too casual.
Right. Oh, really?
I have been asked why I wouldn't come on to a Blab. I said, I'm not camera ready. And, oh, no, it doesn't matter. I'm like, oh, yes, it does.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
I just came out of a shower. You know, It is not like even if I just come out of a swimming pool, I do not get onto a camera in public. I do not walk out in public like this. I'm not going to get on camera in a public venue like this. You know, when I'm ready for public viewing, that's when I come on.
I've heard people say the same thing. Like, I can just show up, however, and I'm like, yeah, you can, but is that the smart thing to do? It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish in the world. You know, if you're trying to spread business and attract people to your conversation, you might want to, you know, take care of yourself and present yourself well.
Okay, so Sam, hell no.
I have to say that I agree with you, Damon. I think that you need to decide how you present yourself, period.
Great.
And wherever it is, that's what you need to consistently do. It took me a long time and a lot of wardrobes before I really figured out how I wanted to present myself. And in the end, I had to go back to, who am I?
Yes.
Because this is not who I am over here.
Right.
You know, so I had to clean out my wardrobe and go back to really who I was. And once I figured out who I was, then that's how
it became easier, didn't it?
It became so much easier.
You just step right into it.
I just step right into it. You know, I'm a kid who grew up riding horses, and I go to business meetings in heels, a pair of jeans with my name stamped on the back of my belt to this day, and a collared shirt. Because
am I the only one who thought she was going to say name stamped on the back of her butt?
I still have my belt from when I was 16 years old.
Well, that's great. I'm just thinking the top of the jeans. That's what I envisioned. It's like, oh,
well, it is on the top of the jeans.
I know. All right. So, well, we
I gave you your laugh for the day, right?
Oh my goodness, did you ever? But yes, it's so important that we be mindful of how we're presenting ourselves, because the worst thing you can say to me, honest, is to sit in front of me, and I've had this done with a cup of coffee, and be all sincere that you don't care what other people think. And I think you're a liar. Because if you didn't care what other people think, you would have not put that makeup on, and you would not have been wearing those particular jeans. Because I noticed what you wore when you walked in to have that cup of coffee with me. Yes, I'm thinking of a young gal in particular. You cannot tell me you do not care what you think people think of you. You come on to Blab and you're blabbing from bed, and, you know, and you appear somewhat risque.
Well, I don't think those people are looking for somebody to hire. Well, I should.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You are very conscious of how you're presenting yourself. So it tells me you do care what people think. So that's one of the worst things that somebody can tell me, especially when it's backed up with attitude. Because the minute that happens, I say, well, you know, let's see if we can help you with that.
You know what, Charlene?
So
I just want to remind you that it's 8:54.
I have to shut it down.
Yeah, and I also need to get going, but I want to let everybody here know that you can hook up with Charlene in 6 minutes in our virtual networking platform for business.
Post the link. I'm going to post the link.
Post the link. Come join us.
I'm going to invite everybody. Let me shut this down on the recording and then invite everybody.
Go ahead.
Okay, so let's finish this out by saying thank you, thank you, thank you, all who have been on live with me. Sabrina, Damon, great hugs to all of you. Those who've been participating in the comment area, so appreciative of that. And to those who are watching the replay, thank you for watching and listening. This is Charlene Burke with Grow Because You Know. That's www.growbecauseyouknow.com. Let's move forward with the day on purpose, with purpose, to grow our hearts, grow our minds, and grow our businesses. Until next